Okay, friends. So we were discussing about designing process, and we have found out there are 8 points which we need to understand to make a questionnaire designing appropriate. And we had in the previous class covered three important points. That is, specify the information needed, and then specify the type in which the data is to be collected or the interview will be conducted. Then determining the content of individual questions that we had discussed in the previous class. This week we will be discussing about how to overcome the unwillingness and inability to answer. So we just go to that slide and uh, where we had this overcome the inability to answer. So we come here. So overcoming the inability to answer. First thing is that we have to keep in mind that whenever we ask a question, that is the respondent informed. For example, suppose I visit a house, I want to collect information about the consumption pattern, and I enter into the house or I knock the house. The person comes in is the owner of the house or say the head of the family. So I start him asking about different things related to grocery expenditure. But that person is may be a software engineer like some of you, and his working hours are very strict working hours, like his company may be located or his office may be located little bit far away from his home, so he comes out of the home at around 8:30, so that he reaches home by 9:30 or reaches the office by 9:30 in the morning, and then entire day he works there, and he gets released from the office say around 7 p.m., and when he comes back it's about a lot of traffic, so it about takes about 8:30 to reach home, so hardly he has any time for his family, and obviously the one else in the family takes the responsibility of purchasing the grocery. Maybe his wife is doing the purchase of grocery items and several other items. So purchase decisions on regular items is well decided by the members of his someone else in his family. So he is not having any say or any opinion regarding the uh, purchase of these commodities. Opinion he might have, but then he is not actually going to purchase the commodities from the market. So when you ask him different questions, you will find that he is unable to answer. So that means you are collecting information from a person who is reluctant or who is not in a position, not reluctant actually, he is not in a position to give the answer. He wants to participate in the survey. Unfortunately, he does not have that amount of information. Now, can the respondent remember? Means you are asking some questions on some issues which has occurred long back. For example, when computerization was introduced in the offices of India, somewhat in the 80s, when Rajiv Gandhi was the Prime Minister of India, he understood that computer is going to lead the world. Means it will actually take over all, and office will be a particular place where office and educational institution is a place where computers will take place early. Computer will establish its existence much earlier. But then he wanted that officers should have training on computers. People should have training in computers. People should know how to handle computers. But the problem was that a large section of the people and different employee organizations, they started to protest against the uh, establishment of computers in the offices. Now, sitting at this stage, you must think about that situation, and you feel that how silly these people were. How can they protest against the use of computers? Because without computers, can you at all run an office? It seems almost impossible running an office without a computer. But that was the time when a computer was about to be introduced in Indian offices. But somehow initially it was the retardation was there, but in due course of time it was somehow introduced, though with some resistance. But then some people understand that yeah, we have to. Initially, it was not computers also. It was called some mechanical machines or something. It was told, so that people are not quite scared. Okay, now they were introduced. Now it was understood that people should go for a training. Now some senior people in the organizations, offices, They told that no, no, whatever we are doing with that. Now for few days we are not going to learn this computer. So they did not participate. But the young generation, they understood that they need to learn about computer. So initially when computer was introduced, it was a very hodgepodge type of situation. Some things were maintained in the as it was done earlier. Some things were computerized. Some information was in hard copies. Some information was in soft copies in the computer. So everything was a bit complete mess. Now, that time people might have found it quite difficult. Those who know computers for them also, and those who don't know computers for them also, for everyone. And similarly, if that is a public office, like where there is a lot of public interaction, like post offices and banks and other some other organizations, the people might have the customers also might have found lot of difficulties. That was something that, for example, accepting an application in back date was quite a common feature. Everyone goes that okay, last date is over. Please keep the application. I have signed in back date. Okay, okay, back date, then fine. People used to keep, but now in computer system, if it is locked, it is locked. That no, after this date, I cannot accept. How can I accept? It has already closed. The portal is not opening. It will not open. So this is a very nice thing to tell. Means no one can force you that okay. Now this when these things started, initially there might have been a lot of problems. Now you want to perform a survey on that. Now it is very difficult to get those people who actually were in those that stage at the office. No, they have not died. Many of them may be still in the office, might be in their 50s, about to retire 4 5 years, and they are recalling about something which happened 20 25 years back when computers were introduced in their offices. Say it started in the process started in the late 80s, but computerization took place sometimes in the 90s or in the late 90s also, means in the offices. And then you go there, then he tells that the people tell that yeah, it happened like 25 years. Yeah, I was a new guy at that time. I just joined the office. Yeah, I remembered that our training was everything on manual, and then suddenly I went. We find that computers. So we took a training, but even after training, we could not understand anything. The guy who was explaining it very fast. He's an expert. He's showing his expertise. He did not, and we did not have computers at home to practice. Also, might be they are able to tell, but that incident you are asking from them is about 25 years, 27 years, 30 years back. Now they may not be able to recall. Let us go to the next problem. Can the respondent articulate the situation? Explain your first visit to your shopping mall. A particular shopping mall, suppose the first shopping mall that came to my city, my town was Vishal Megamart. So Vishal Megamart, I could recall my first visit to Vishal Megamart. Uh, no, I could not recall, but I can recall that first time I went to a Megamart like Vishal was in Guwahati. And that Megamart is still there near that Pan Bazar, Paltan Bazar bridge there in the Paltan Bazar side. I remember my first visit. Then actually that was the first time I saw such a means multi-branded, multi-product shop. Yeah, I found that something were there, many things were there which we require in our daily life every day, but we don't know what is the name of that, or means we understood the use of that, but we don't know what is the exact name of that, and that was also not. Now we can become we like a shopkeeper. We can also visit every corner of the shop. That's very interesting. So I could recall little bit, but I could not tell much more about the things. So sometimes there is a problem in articulation, that some people are very articulate. When there is an open-ended question where you need to put your views, many surveys are there where you ask open-ended question. For example, I ask you that what is the reason for which you have joined the program, this executive MBA program. Now you cannot answer this with a closed-ended question. Closed-ended question, different options are there. Tick some of them. Yeah, you may tick. You may tick. I can get some response from you. It is not that you will not be able to respond. You will give some response, but you cannot. There are, might be many reasons for which you want to do this, and all these reasons might be important also. For example, yeah, let me ask some of you. Okay, Manoj, can you tell me why you joined this executive MBA program? What is the reason?
So basically, I joined this executive MBA to enhance my skill
Okay.
in the sense regarding this management part, and then again the project management part. Actually, I have lots of experience in this field,
Mm-hmm.
but but the basic this theories part and other this related things I have not actually uh, not much experience, but
Means you are
practice.
learning most of the things with your experience and working with the situation, but you did not have any
Exactly, sir.
any
What I
formal exposure to the theories which are actually
no, no,
this.
sir. I have not formal exposure to the
Yes.
theories
So,
before
so that's
joining
why
this.
you decided to have a formal exposure so that you understand what are the theories between the that is happening or
Yeah,
back of the things that is happening around you in the organization, and whether the knowledge of these theories help you. You expect that the knowledge of the theories will help you to manage man more tactfully. So
exactly, sir.
this is the answer of Manoj. Now you Manoj has told about many things. Now all these things I may not put in a multiple choice options. So I need to take a lot of information from the people through some open-ended questions. Now when I ask you people how many four were there when I logged on to this started my sharing my screen 4 or 5. Now some few people might have joined. How many are there now attending? Manoj, how many people attending the class?
Sir, 10 people are
Nine,
attending.
Okay.
10.
एक तो मैं हूँ. Other
Oh,
than
nine, sir, nine.
okay, 9 people are attending. So when I ask these 9 people, people will come with different opinion, or maybe say some people's opinion matches, but I have different opinion. Then I ask another group. I take classes somewhere else, also executive. So I ask that group. So they also tell something. So this way I get inputs from several people. So that actually, after that, I can put these as a multiple choice question. That means I have done some amount of research to reach the position of developing a questionnaire. If I start from afresh, that I don't have any idea that what might be the reason why these people want to do MBA. Some people may tell that I am doing executive MBA because many colleagues of my office in my position, they have also done MBA and they have looked down upon me. Oh, this is simple graduate, or this is an engineering graduate. It has not done MBA. That may be also one of the reasons. Promotion is definitely another reason. That if I have MBA, I have a chance of getting a promotion. But then some people, that is called peer group pressure. Others have done. So I also want to do peer group pressure. So these type of different regions will come. Now, when I am in a exploratory stage of my research, that when I want to explore the possibilities, then I ask this type of open-ended questions. Some people are very articulate. If you ask them, they will tell in such a nice manner everything starting from beginning till that. But some people are actually uh, not in a position to explain so nicely. So for that we have open-ended question. They may write some point discreetly and could not articulate. So just articulation always is not a good thing for a question. Always it is better to go with closed-ended question. That means you give a set of options. Now if you believe that these options are not mutually exclusive means you select only one and not like that. That is, I may have many reasons. For example, from where you came to know about this program. So some your friend might have also told. You might have seen the ad in the newspaper also, or you must have got some mail from this Tezpur University itself. You must have done some small workshop earlier, so they thought that you might be a potential student, so they have sent it to you. So from multiple choice, you might have got not multiple sources, you might have got information about this program. So in such cases, we have checkbox. So there is a difference between checkbox and MCQ. MCQ means out of several options, only one. Checkbox means there are 5 options. You may tick all 5 of them. You may tick only one. You may tick 3 out of 5. You may tick 2 out of 5. All options are available. So if you think that there might be, MCQ may not be good enough, you give checkbox type of information. So that is fine. Now with the checkbox type of information, you can provide this information to the respondent. Now, once you do this, then we have say these try to decrease the number of articulative questions or open-ended questions in your questionnaire. So this is a way in which you can overcome the inability of the respondent to answer, because tick mark or selecting few options from a group, that is more easier definitely than putting an articulate question. Now, unwillingness to answer. Earlier point was that unable to answer. How you can overcome the inability of persons to answer. Now there is unwillingness. Two sides are there. Inability, unwillingness. Inability means he wants to answer but he cannot answer. And unwillingness. Unwillingness, here they are able to respond but may be unwilling to respond. Effort required to. Now what happens in unwillingness? I know the response, but due to some reason I may not be interested in giving the response. For example, today morning I uploaded a live video. Uploaded a video where it was about sampling and non-sampling errors. So there I had discussed that in case of census surveys, there is a regulation that the information collected during the census cannot be used for dragging someone to the court of law. It cannot be placed in the court of law as per the Census Act, or it cannot be put into record in a for filing an FIR. You cannot complain to the police against a person because of some information which you may find that it is not a good thing. For example, you ask a person what is your income. He tells that I have this much. What are the sources of income? He tells that okay, I work as a school teacher, and in my this pathshala, that means in my school, primary school, I have also opened a shop where I sell different types of things, and people who go by, they ask me, then I come out of the class and sell those things. And during the tiffin time also, the children, they come to me, my shop, and they purchase sweets and other things that they want to eat. Now, this is not allowed because he is already a teacher. He cannot open a shop inside the premises of the school. But he is a teacher, maybe single teacher, or maybe other teachers are there. He has opened. Now, this information, it cannot be used by the census authorities to file an FIR against this individual, because as this is done so that people they can provide the information to the census people, so that census people can get the exact data, because this data is very important for our development. And so what happens, you see, I might be having some extra income, but I may not disclose otherwise, because I am afraid that I may not be able to convey, means that may put me in some trouble. Now, as an educated person, you know what will bring you to trouble, what will not. That means I earn some money by taking classes in some other organization, but those money is TDS being deducted. So tax deducted at source. Already income tax has been paid for my extra income. Just I want to make a mention of it when I actually record my income tax. Now this is not a big issue, but problem is there. For example, one researcher was telling last week that he was working. This boy, he was working in a project under a teacher in the university. So his job was about something like collecting information from women employees in the unorganized sector. Women employees in the unorganized sector. So he was asked by his the teacher who has employed under a particular project to go to the beauty parlor to collect information from the girls who are working in the beauty parlor, to go to the homes, and in every home there are someone part-time maid who come in the morning or ghar saaf and bartan washing and then going back. So this then going to another house. The same lady works in 3-4 houses in a day, maybe earning some 4,000, 5,000 rupees to earn their livelihood. Now, these type of people are working in the unorganized sector. He went to take a survey on their income, expenditure, etc. But they did not provide them data at all, because they were quite scared that might be he takes the information, take our money also, and then put us to jail or all these things. They were quite scared. And they actually, when he used to come, they used to means almost about to beat him up. That's why he's coming every day. In beauty parlor, girls also, did not provide him the information. One of them thought that he has fallen in love with one of the beauty parlor girls. That's why coming every day and trying to ask some question. Okay. So he was not provided the information. That means the information is there. They know their income. They know their expenditure pattern. They have the information, but they are unwilling to answer. Okay. And sometimes what happens, some answers we know, but the thing is that for answering that we require some effort. Like these questions you see, it is written in red. It is final salary of the jobs that you left. Suppose I ask you that what was the final salary of the jobs that you have left. Manoj, how many organizations you worked?
Sir, basically I have worked in the present employer with more 20 years, sir.
Only one organization?
No, before that, actually, I passing out from my engineering. I did some construction. I work with some construction company
Okay.
in NRL, basically.
So this is your second organization.
Second, sir. This is second.
Anyone worked in four or more than that number of organizations? Anyone in the class?
So I worked.
Yeah, I have worked, sir.
Okay. Now, if I ask you this question, that what was the final salary of the jobs you left? So, who are the two people? Two people are telling that I have worked. Please tell your name because I cannot.
Mir.
Parag
And Mir, sir.
Mir. Okay, Parag and Mir. So Parag and Mir, they have worked in 3, 4 or 5, 6 organizations. Can you remember the salary or final salary of the organizations in which you worked? Means at the day you resigned, what was your final salary of all those organizations? Parag?
No, sir. I don't remember because I've been working in these organizations last 10 years. I don't remember anything.
And then what about Mir?
Sir, final salary of the last organization you are asking?
No, all the organizations which you worked
for. So I didn't get the final salary. As in, sir, the last organization I was working or I didn't get the question, sir.
No, means suppose you worked in organization A, you left organization A to join organization B.
Right.
On the day of your leaving the job, how much salary organization A was paying you? Then from B you went to C. On the day on which you went to C, on that day how much B was paying you, organization B was paying you. Can you recall all these last salaries of all these organizations?
No, sir, not really.
Yes, that is not really. But the thing is that it is not that he cannot answer. He can answer, but for that he has to go into his file. He has to collect the salary slip of his last means and the jobs that he's left. Everyone has a file. When you join the joining report, when you get released, you have the release report, and there your gross salary or your pay scale must be there. So it is not that person cannot tell. Person can tell, but for that he requires a lot of effort to put. He have to open his file, and some files were not means probably never opened in the last 10 years. So from those files he can study, but for this he requires a lot of effort. That means questions, if you ask some questions on which people have to give a lot of effort, they actually do not want to answer those questions. That means they are unwilling to answer. Questions that seem abnormal or unnecessarily to the context of the research. There is one important interesting example, like some organization has asked me means to collect the data from the teachers about their publication, research, etc. In my institute at that time I was the director of IQAC, Internal Quality Assurance Cell. Those who are from the university or college system, they know that there is an IQAC, Internal Quality Assurance Cell. So quality assurance. So for that some organization asks that you send publication related data. Now in that format, they have given a format, there was pen number of the respondent. Now some teachers were asking, why shall you give the pen number? How pen number is relevant to my research? So I told that yes, that is a good thing question. So I also asked forward their question to the organization who asked for this. Then they told that the pen number is very important thing because pen number tells us about the employer of the particular individual. With the pen number we can trace the employer of the organization. Now suppose someone tells that under this institution, or if you tell a lie, that means you tell that these two books were written by someone who worked in your university. Then we may give his pen number and check out and find out, no, he did not work in Assam University, rather he is working in Tezpur University. Then we can find out that, okay, this person is lying or this information is fake. So for that, pen number is required. But in the face value, it appeared that what pen number has to do with the publication or the research aspects of the individual. So that is the issue. So sometimes some questions seems to be very abnormal in the context of the research, and some people may not actually be willing to give this answer. Legal obligations are involved. Some answer questions are there which may put you in legal trouble, like say income tax. You ask about in your income, you give your entire gross salary or all your side income, then it may put in some legal problems. In census you can give, they will not draw you to the court, but then some other service may actually put you in trouble. Sensitive questions that threaten the respondent's prestige or self-image. So some sensitive questions may be there which actually, for example, you ask someone that did you take bribe during your tenure and such position? Did you accept bribe? Now this is a very sensitive information. It is not that I don't know. I know whether I have taken bribe or not. I know, but the thing is that I may not be willing to answer because this may actually threaten my self prestige. So these are the way in which you can overcome the unwillingness and inability for someone to answer the question. Going to the next point, choosing question structure. Sometimes questions are unstructured, open-ended. Respondent answer that in their own words. So, for example, what is your occupation? Someone asks you. Some people, they can put their occupation in their own way. They can say it in one word. They can say it in a detailed way. So these are open-ended questions. Like I asked Manoj that why you want to do the executive or why you have joined the executive MBA program. So Manoj told something. That is actually an open-ended question. The respondent answers using his own words. Such questions provide more freedom to the respondents. These questions or answers to these questions might be difficult to code, but Manoj gave a very straightforward answer, and Manoj has actually told about only one point why he wanted to join the program. That I am handling people in my organization. I want to know what the theory is behind that. So for that I have, and again that means increasing the knowledge or relating theories to everyday knowledge, something like that. So it can be put in one phrase, but not always. Some people will be very elaborate in giving this answer. So these are coding might be difficult in some cases. Let us take this example.
क्या नाम क्या है तुम्हारा? विजय दीनानाथ जॉन, पूरा नाम. बाप का नाम दीनानाथ जॉन, माँ का नाम सुहासिनी जॉन, गांव मांडवा, उम्र 36 साल 9 महीना 8 दिन. 16 घंटा चालू है.
So this is very articulative response. He is very articulative. He is asked one question, he is giving response for many questions because he knows with his experience that these are the questions will be asked one after another. So he has given all the responses at one go. So these are actually sometimes when the respondent is very articulated, it is very difficult to understand that what is the information content there. Means बात करने के लिए ठीक है, बहुत सारा बात किया इसने. But when you actually look from the research point of view, you find that it is difficult because you have to pick up what is the actual information, which is often for articulative respondent, it is quite difficult. Okay, now let us continue this. In case of types of question, in case of structured questions, the response alternatives are provided. That is what you call MCQ. A structured question can be a multiple choice, a dichotomous, or a scale. Multiple choice means, as you know, 4, 3, 5, 6 options are there, out of which you have picked one option. Dichotomous means 2 options are there, like yes or no. And a scale, you can give a scale point, one side yes, another side no, and in between there are some points like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if you are with no, you will tick in one, a little bit no, little more of no, little bit of yes, then you will tick on 2. If you are 50-50, neither with yes nor with no, then you will tick at 3. If you go to 4, means you are mostly yes, a little bit of doubt is there. and if you are completely yes, then you will tick on 5. So this is the way you will actually tick the things in a scale when the responses are there. In multiple choice questions, the researcher provides a choice of answers and respondents are asked to select one or more of the alternatives. So in a multiple choice question, MCQ type of question, the researcher provides choice of answers and the respondents are asked to select one or more of the alternatives. A dichotomous question, only 2 responses are there, and scales, as we have already studied about scales at the beginning, that what are the different types of scales, marketing scales. We have seen Likert scale and other types of scales. So we actually know in details about the scale. Now let us go to the next one, that question wordings. That means which word you need to choose for the question. Because here actually this is a direct translation of the information that you want to collect from the respondent by asking the question. The following points may be noted: defining the issue, use of ordinary words, avoid using ambiguous words, using positive or negative statements. So your question should not actually show any direction, and also it should define the issue before the questions actually starts, that what issue on which the information is going to be collected. Some people make block of similar type of questions in one block. So in the presentation in the questionnaire is of this form, and the word should be ordinary, and no need to show your talent as a literary talent in developing the questions, because if you use a lot of literary talent, ordinary people may find it difficult to understand the meaning. Common words used in common vocabulary should be used so that we can cover a large number of responses who actually don't understand the question. These cases happen very minimum. Ambiguous words which raise doubt in the mind, should be avoided. Now there are 6 W: why, when, who, where, what, and where. Which brand of hair oil did you use? So most of the questions starts with W. So these are some of the important W related questions, except how then most of the questions actually start with W words. So like this, ordinary words matching the vocabulary of the respondent should be used. Do you think, for example, do you think lychee, distribution of lychee is adequate? So lychee is a drink. So if you use the word distribution, technically you are correct. That means, but what you want to know is lychee readily available around you, in and around you, in the shops, in the market. Is lychee readily available, quickly available, easily available? But you may what they use distribution. Do you think that the distribution of lychee is adequate? Now, when we use the word distribution, different people may take it differently. And for example, if I hear the word distribution, I first think of a probability distribution. But here the meaning of distribution is something else. It is the spread. So some words which actually matches the vocabulary, which are not technical, those words should be used. Use of ambiguous words, that is some words which are not quite clear, has different type of meaning, and those words should be avoided. How frequently do you consume? This is an example. How frequently do you consume soft drink? Now, never, occasionally, sometimes, often, regularly. Now these options are given. How frequently do you consume soft drinks? Answers are never, occasionally, sometimes, often, regularly. Now this is actually relative. Never is understood. Occasionally, what do you mean by occasionally? Drinking once a week is occasion, or thrice in means once in 3 months, that is an occasional drinker. Sometimes means how frequently you call sometimes. So this is a very ambiguous type of questions created. Rather, if you use that, how frequently do you consume soft drink, below that number 1 option, never, last week, once or twice in last week, then every day. So these type of things are quite definite and easier to answer. The previous options were ambiguous. Don't test the arithmetical capability of the respondent. Now when you ask some question, if you start putting him some such questions on which you have to calculate, or the respondent has to calculate, no, that should not be done. Calculation you should keep for your part, your end, so that once I get the data, I will do the necessary calculation. For example, what is the per capita expenditure on grocery items in your family? Per capita expenditure. He may be able to tell you approximately the grocery expenditure, but if you tell that a per capita grocery expenditure, and then means per head. Then he knows the grocery expenditure and he has to divide it by the family members, number of family members like 5, 6, whatever number of family members he has, and then get the value, and that one he has to write it here. Avoid mixing too many dual questions, that is both positive and negative. However, some negative questions in between mostly positive questions are good. Means in scales, we had earlier discussed, some videos are there, I have uploaded earlier. That sometimes what happens in a scale, there are some positive statements that whether this is influenced by this. The food is very tasty, the ambience of the restaurant is good, the parking facility of the restaurant is sufficient. So these are all positive statements. The food is highly expensive. This is a negative statement. The food is highly expensive. This is a negative statement. But the price of the food is reasonable. Then it is a positive statement. But the food is very expensive. This is a negative statement. Now, when we put so many negative statements or one or two single negative question in between some positive statements, then you can understand the response pattern, and then you can understand who has randomly put some ticks, who has understood and read the question and put up some ticks. Now, however, if you have many negative questions in between some positive questions, then it creates ambiguity. So then should not be two negative, then one positive, then two positive, then one negative, then once again one positive, then one negative. Not such a tremendous mix, but some little bit mixing of some negative questions somewhere, maybe 4 positive questions, then one negative, then 7 positive questions, then one negative. Some way, that way it is good enough. We have one audio for that.
गलियों पे निखार है तुमको मुझसे प्यार है.
Okay, so that's a interesting thing. Means बागों में बहार है, कलियों में निखार है, आज सोमवार है, तुमको मुझसे प्यार है नहीं. So that is means respondent is aware about the positive and negative questions, negative statements, where to tell yes, where to tell no. So you can judge it out like that by a mix of questions. Order of questions, that what should be the order in which the question is placed. First, there are two ways in which. First one is the basic information. Basic information is the information that is collected about the research problem, exactly on the research problem, research issue. That question, one group. Another group is the classification information, like socio-economic and demographic characteristic of the respondent, like what is your income, whether you are regularly employed in the organization, what is the size of your family, how many dependent members of your family are there in the family. So these are actually classification information. And then identification information. Identification means name, phone number, email ID, etc., address, etc., with the help of which you can identify or you can reach to that individual. That is the identification information. Now, the basic information, sometimes we have this way. Questions are placed in this way. That means we start with very general questions. That means this one. We start with identification, then classification, then basic information. That means this one. Basic information means those information necessary for research. That means funnel approach. That's starting with general questions and moving to more specific questions. That means what we have termed earlier as basic information. Basic information, the information required for research. Or start with inverted funnel approach. That means first you ask the basic question, then you ask about the classification information, and then you ask about the name, address, email ID, etc. So this is the invert. In India, we generally use this approach. At first you start with the general information, like what is your name, what is your father's name, what is your mother's name, what is your address, what is your email ID, what is your phone number, what is your gender, this type. Then demographic information, like what is your place of residence, rural, urban, then what is your income, whether you are employed, how many family members you have, how many members are dependent on you, this type of questions. And then you go to the research questions. Suppose the research is on source of drinking water. Then you start, what is the source of your drinking water? Do you need to pay for this source of this drinking water? What is the rate in which you are charged for the drinking water? What way in which you store this drinking water at home? So these type of questions specific to the survey will come at that. This is how generally we encounter questionnaires. But this is, you might think that, okay, this is absurd. We cannot start with a research question first and then go the information. But you will see that when you meet an unknown person, especially in the train, when you have to perform, flight में तो कोई दूसरे से बात नहीं करता क्योंकि उसको सब अपना लैपटॉप आईपैड लेके बिजी है, फिर मोबाइल फोन में थोड़ा, और वो तो जो है वो खाली डिस्टर्ब करती रहती है आके, यार होस्टेस आप खिड़की पर उसका शेड ऊपर कीजिए, शेड नीचे कीजिए, ट्री टेबल बंद कर दीजिए, सीट सीधी करे, मास्क पहने रखे, so they will come and disturb you a lot of times. So people don't talk with each other. In buses, yeah, sometimes, but then train is a very interesting thing. People go there, and some of the train travels are quite time taking, maybe 1 day, 2 days, even 3 days. One person told me once by traveling by train that शुक्र करो ये इंडिया रशिया जैसा बड़ा नहीं है, नहीं तो एक जगह से दूसरे जगह जाने में 10 दिन लग जाता। बात सही है, because we used to travel from Delhi, then we used to take almost 3 days to reach home, 2.5 days coming from Delhi. So that was like that only. So you are to, you know that these persons, with these persons you have to means make them your companion or friends, so that you have to travel safely and have 2-3 days you have to stay with that individual, 1-2 days at least. So you make friends. How do you make friends? They generally don't ask this inverted funnel approach. People don't ask, you ask people, अच्छा आपको जाना कहाँ है, मैं मुझे तो इतना जाना है, अच्छा अच्छा अच्छा, इसके लिए तो दूसरा ट्रेन भी है, तो आपने ये ट्रेन ही क्यों चुना, बोला नहीं इसमें तो मेरा जो है इधर से आने से सस्ता पड़ता है, या फिर समथिंग इट रीचेस इन ए गुड टाइम, अच्छा अच्छा, तो आपको कहाँ जाना, किधर जाना है, तुम अपना स्टोरी बताओगे क्यों जा रहे हो, एंड धीरे धीरे आफ्टर दे विल ओके हाउ मेनी मेंबर्स आर देयर इन फैमिली, और घर में कौन कौन है, ऐसा बातचीत हुआ। लास्ट में नाम पूछेगा, लेकिन लास्ट में ही नाम पूछता है, अच्छा चलो ठीक है सफर खत्म हो गया, चलते हैं बहन जी, अच्छा आपका नाम क्या है, बोला मेरा नाम ये, तो नाम का लेकिन जिक्र एकदम एंड में होता है। You might have noticed that happens in train, so that's a very interesting train. I think most people like traveling in train. Questions should be placed in a logical order. Yeah, these are things which come in the logical order. All questions related to a particular topic should be asked before beginning a new topic. It is obvious that suddenly you ask something, suddenly you put a question, what is your phone number? This is not the way in which the question should be asked. Similar questions should be in one place. And once a topic is over, generally that is not revisited by another question or another set of questions. Let us have this video.
हम जनगणना के लिए यहाँ आए हैं। इस गांव में तुम ही एक पढ़े लिखे आदमी हो, इसलिए काम तुम्हें सौंपते हैं।
काम का होगा?
हर घर की औरत से पूछना कि घर पे लोग कितने हैं, शादी हुई कि नहीं, बच्चे कितने हैं, इन सवालों के जवाब घर नंबर के साथ लिखकर मुझे देना है, बस।
ठीक है।
क्या है?
हमें जनगणना के लिए आपसे कुछ सवाल पूछने हैं। आपकी शादी हुई है?
नहीं।
नहीं। आपके कितने बच्चे हैं?
बेशरम।
अरे बेवकूफ, बच्चे कितने पहले पूछना था ना।
नमस्कार, हमें जनगणना के लिए आपसे कुछ सवाल पूछने हैं। आपके बच्चे हैं?
जी हाँ।
कितने हैं?
6।
6 हैं। आपकी शादी हुई है?
बेशरम।
Okay, so that is a very interesting. Can you identify the movie?
Malamal Weekly.
Yes, Malamal Weekly. So this is actually means the way in which the questions are arranged. It depends on the responses. Some answers becomes obvious. For example, this lady was very angry. Second one, that he asked that how many children do you have? 6 children, and then he asked that are you married? So he was slapped. Now same question is a very relevant question in the Western world, because there people may have children without marriage. Means when I was during my childhood, when Maradona was a superstar, means I was reading in the newspaper that Maradona getting married, means photograph of Maradona getting married, and below that there was by the caption of the photograph was Maradona got married yesterday. In the photo, his child is watching the marriage. उसका बच्चा साक्षी है मैरिज का। So first though I could not understand. I read it twice. I could not understand that the Maradona is getting married. A child is watching the marriage. उसका बच्चा तब 2-2.5 साल का होगा या 1-1.5 साल का होगा, कोई गोद में लिया हुआ, पर ऐसा नहीं लेटा के नहीं, मतलब खड़ा हुआ गोद में. तो मुझे बड़ा अजीब लगा. I could not understand the meaning. How is it possible? He is getting married, his child is watching the marriage. अब उन दिनों बिल्कुल समझ में नहीं आया. बाद में मतलब उस समय तो स्कूल बॉय था, तो मुझे आइडिया था कि शादी के बाद ही बच्चे होते हैं. बाद में पता चला अच्छा शादी बगैर किए भी बच्चा हो सकता है. अच्छा, तो okay. Anyways, so in that context, this question would have been very relevant, and Paresh Rawal would not be slapped for asking this question to a say Argentinian or a Brazilian or a European. But in our country's context, this is really very poor question. Now, these are some situations, society to society things changes. Now, when topics are switched, it is better to have a different box or changing color of the background, so that it is understood that topic has changed and new topic has been taken up. Branching questions take the respondent to a different place in the questionnaire based on how they responded to the question at hand. For example, suppose in the question there is one response that in the questionnaire there is one question that do you smoke, following which there are some questions which are relative to smoking, like which brand of cigarette do you smoke, or what type of smoke, do you smoke pipe or cigarette or bidi, and then what is the brand that you actually smoke, then how frequently do you smoke. These are all questions related to smoke. Now if your answer to the question do you smoke is no, you don't have to answer this set of questions, and your actually next question will be some question after that. Suppose you are in the 34th question, but your answer is no, you directly jump to the 48th question from 34 to 48. But those who answer yes, they have to answer the 35th, 36th, 37th up to the 48th question. So this is what I mean to say in this. So branching questions should be placed carefully and direct the respondent their movement in the questionnaire, because especially if it is a mail questionnaire type where the questionnaire directly comes to you, then these directions of our movement inside the questionnaire, jumping from one question to another, in between leaving some questions, this indication should be clearly mentioned in bold, in a different color, or even if you use the same color, bold, underline, so that this is visible. If you are not a smoker, please directly go to question number 48. Do not try answering question number 35 to 47. Write it in two different ways. किसी को ना किसी को तो समझ में आ ही जाएगा. Okay. Now, form and layout, how it should look. The format, spacing and positioning of questions have a significant effect on the result of the survey, particularly in case of self-administered questionnaire. Self-administered means when the respondent himself or herself fill the questionnaire, so that is called a self-administered questionnaire. It is a good practice to start the questionnaire with a covering letter, especially in case of mailed questionnaire method. So there is a covering letter. Covering letter tells the purpose of the survey. It also tells that the information will not be leaked. It is only for the purpose, such and such purpose, and it will be used for developing our business, understanding customers' pattern, or understanding the likes and dislikes. It will help us. This survey will help us to serve you better. So they get this actually comment actually helps to encourage the people to participate in the survey. It is a good practice to start the questionnaire with a covering letter, especially in case of mailed questionnaire. The questionnaire should start with the title of the research or the purpose should be clearly mentioned, and divide the question into several parts, like make some boxes, similar type of question in one box, and dissimilar type of questions in two different boxes. You can color the boxes also differently, very light, say pink, some set of question, another set of question light blue, another set of questions light green. So in that way you can change the form and learn. Divide the questionnaire into several parts. Each part should be numbered. Closed-ended questions should preferably be pre-coded. Pre-coded means coding is done for closed-ended question. Each questionnaire should themselves bear a unique serial number or code. Questionnaire, entire questionnaire. For example, you must have seen the receipt book of a grocery shop. You will find that the receipt is there, but in the every receipt there is a code like 001, 002, 003, like this some code is there. So your questionnaire should also have this code so that you can identify, search how many questionnaires are there. Because questionnaires are all similar. Where is the point of difference? Difference is in that numbering. So they should be differently numbered so that they have a serial code. Now, reproduction of the questionnaire. The quality of the paper that is used or in which things are printed should be very clear. It should not be a very poor quality page. The poorest quality page where printing is possible is the newsprint, that is the newspaper. That newspaper that you read every day, that is the poorest quality paper where printing is possible because they want to keep the price less. So, but when you use this type of paper in the as a questionnaire, if it is a printed questionnaire, then this is not a good practice because this will actually, because questionnaire has to undergo a long journey. It will be fast printed. It will come from the press to the individual. The individuals will actually explain it, research individual will explain it to the different people whom he may be engaged for collecting the survey. And then it will be handed over to the investigator. Investigator will take the questionnaire to his home. Then from his home he will go to the field. In the field he will enter the question, enter the information in the questionnaire by questioning the respondent. In the process he might not have a proper place of writing, so sometimes he may put the questionnaire in the wall for support, sometimes in his hand for support. So in this way he will do that survey. After completing the survey he will once again travel back to his home and send it to the researcher. Researcher will send it to the data analyst or data entry operator. Data entry operator will take the questionnaire one by one, turn the pages one by one, and then enter the data. Once the data is entering, for subsequently you may think that the questionnaire job is over, but not yet, because after the data has been entered, they will be scrutinized, and in scrutiny some error may be detected. In that case, it will be once again, questionnaire will be once again sent to the field for verification, and some scrutiny is done before data entry also. So two types of scrutiny. In each case, if the researcher is not satisfied, he has every possibility of sending the questionnaire to the field once again. So it goes for a long journey, and so it should be in good quality paper. Otherwise, it may get spoiled. It may get mutilated. This is presented in some. If the questionnaire is big, it is better to make a booklet out of the questionnaire instead of making separate sheets or stapled together. Vertical responses column should be used for individual question. Like, what is the source of drinking water? 1, say rainwater. 2, pond water. 3, lake water. 4, municipal water. 5, say well water. Like this, there are different options. But these options, instead of putting them one after another in a horizontal way, you can put them in a vertical way. So when you put the things in a vertical way, there is less chance of error. Otherwise, I will not understand which one to tick, whether I should tick at the top, at the beginning, or at the end. It means if I am ticking at code number 3, shall I tick at in the box close to 3 in the right side or close to 3 in the left side? Sometimes some ambiguity takes place like this. But if it is a vertical responses, then every line there is only one option, so there is no doubt about where you need to tick. And this actually decreases the data entry error. Questions should not be overcrowded and look in order to look shorter, because saving money is also important. Pages are not to be, there are two issues. One is definitely money. Second is that you should not use page, abruptly spoil pages, because you should try to save the pages. So this is not the instructions related to how a question should be answered should be placed before the question actually starts. So some questions may be there where there are some type of answers are expected, so that type of instructions might be given. Colors can be used for branching questions or for dividing a set of questions into some type. From one question you are jumping to question number 48. You may associate them with similar types of color or indications. Questionnaires for different groups of respondents may be printed in different colors. Suppose I am collecting information from the rural area, I am collecting information from the urban area. So what I do, I print the questionnaire, rural area yellow color pages and urban area white color pages. So from distance, if I look at the questionnaire, I understand that this is an yellow color and it should go to the rural area. This is white color. It should be used for the collection of respondent in the urban area. Now some people my employee he is going with yellow color question paper to conduct survey in the town. Well, just looking at the question, I can tell him you have picked up a wrong question. You should have taken the white one. Why are you taking the yellow one? This for villages. Don't you know? So this is the thing. Now, once the questionnaire is designed, you should pre-test this properly. That means you go to a known group of people and perform the survey on the final questionnaire. Final questionnaire, before you send to the press, everything is ready. You have composed it, very nicely decorated. Everything is fine, color and everything you have given, taken the printout in inkjet printer. With that, you go to some people and collect the information. In the process of collecting the information, you might find that some of the questions are repeated, some of the questions are happens to be so lengthy. Some of the questions responses are all generally no, or all people are telling yes. Some questions you might feel while asking that they are actually some leading questions. And then once you collect the information, put those information in the computer, do little bit of analysis to understand what is the direction of your research, or whether you can get the analysis done which you want to do. So this is pre-testing of questionnaire is a very important aspect. We did not, it is not there in the points, but then it is very important for this. Now in the questionnaire, once the questionnaire is filled up, someone should take the responsibility, someone needs to sign the questionnaire. If it is a schedule type of questionnaire, then it is the enumerator who should put the signature. If it is a questionnaire type of questionnaire where it is self-administered, people are giving their responses, they should put the signature. It should not be anonymous. But some people sometimes they don't sign, don't take the responsibility, or in some cases might be that sensitive information where people don't want to express their name or put their signature. If it is really such a sensitive information, then it's fine. Otherwise, some people put the signature. And this is a video, and no one is ready to sign. No one will take the responsibility. So we are at the end of the presentation. There is one message also, that in the entire presentation you must be seeing that leaves are falling from the trees. And the reason is that we should take care of environment. So there is a message in the presentation. If we don't take care of nature today, we have to face the fury of nature. You see, leaves are now juggling with my head. Okay, thank you for